So he generally is regarded as an outstanding artist of this 20th century India. And the helm to a hand ever rigid and cold as death. So this hand is actually very rigid and cold as death. So this type of continuation of sentences in a poem without having any rhyme scheme, this is called as enjambment. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini, Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are here to understand one of the wonderful poems prescribed by University of Mysuru for first sem B.Ca. We are going to understand about the poem Freedom that is written by Rabindranath Tagore today. Let us see what is there in today's session. We are first going to start with the introduction of the poet, then we are going to understand the title. We'll next move on to the theme of the poem. After that, we'll be understanding the summary, then we'll move on to the poetic devices. At last, we'll understand what the conclusion is. So let us begin with the introduction of the poet. This is a very small poem for you, but with profound meaning. So let us start with the introduction of the poet. He is such a poet who doesn't need an introduction at all. But we'll just understand few basic things which we have to understand about a poet. So this is Rabindranath Tagore. So he was a Bengali poet. He was born in Calcutta and he wrote short stories, poems. He also wrote many plays. He also wrote few essays also which had profound meaning with patriotism as the basic theme. So he introduced few new prose and verse forms, that is by using this colloquial language in Bengali literature. He wrote in Bengali as well as in English. So this was actually the traditional models that were based on the classical Sanskrit literature. So like that he started a new form of literature. So he was highly influential in introducing Indian culture to the West and also Western culture to the Indian society. So he generally is regarded as an outstanding artist of this 20th century India. So in 1913, he became the first non-European to have received this Nobel Prize for Literature. So you must be knowing about Shantiniketan, which was established by Rabindranath Tagore, which is very important and which gives holistic development to the students even today. So let us now begin with the title of the poem. This word freedom is repeated throughout the poem in order to express the poet's deep wish towards his country, who always wished for freedom. So here in this poem, he expresses his wish, what and all kind of freedom he wants, he wishes for his country is what he says here. So the second wish he has for his country is that this motherland should be free from the burden of this senseless, illogical and orthodox beliefs and traditions which don't let the motherland see the future. So he has lot of aspirations, lot of wishes which he expresses in this poem. So let us see what is there in the poem. Before that, we'll move on to the theme of the poem. So this poem is concerned with India's freedom struggle only. As such, in almost all the poems of Shakespeare, we can see freedom only as the, that is patriotism as the basic theme. And he has taken little diversion from that. He has expressed what kind of freedom is needed. So Tagore calls out to the motherland to free from fear. So you can see over here, he wants freedom from fear, from the shackles of oppression. So oppression, so from many years our motherland has been under the rule of somebody, it is oppressed. So he wants freedom from that and also freedom from the outsider, that is fear of outsiders should be freed. So this is what he wishes for the motherland. Tagore's patriotism permeates this poem as he decries the master beneath whom the motherland serves as a puppet. So he is talking that there is a master and he takes this motherland as a puppet, like that the master makes this motherland act as per his wish, dance according to his tunes is what he says in this poem. So this was the theme of the poem. We'll now move on to the summary of the poem. So just observe the rhyme scheme of this poem. We'll talk about it the end of the poem. Okay, after we understand the summary, we'll move on to the rhyme scheme of this. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. So here you can see, so freedom is what he is talking about. So what kind of freedom he needs? Freedom from fear is what he is talking. So this freedom will be freedom from fear. I claim for you my motherland. So I wish, I request or I aspire for this type of freedom to the motherland. So he is talking to his motherland. That means he is personifying his motherland. Okay, so he is talking to somebody who doesn't have life, but he treats that person, the other person, as an animate object. Okay, freedom from the burden of the ages, bending your head. So what kind of freedom it is? Freedom from the burden of the ages. From many years there has been a burden. What kind of burden? Burden of bending your head, breaking your back. That means being a slave to somebody else is what he is trying to say. So bending your head, breaking your back, blinding your eyes to the beckoning call of the future. So he is telling that the motherland is actually not able to see the future. It is the motherland, that is the people in the motherland, they are just obeying to somebody's orders. They have just blindfolded themselves and they are just listening to somebody who is giving orders and working according to that only. So here, stop being a slave is what he is telling. Freedom from the shackles of slumber, wherewith slumber to strive means to struggle a lot. Shackles, the a kind of chain that holds somebody back. That is shackles, shackles of slumber, wherewith you fasten yourself. Hope you have come across this word fasten when you talk about the seat belts. Fasten your seat belts is what the announcement is given in airport or the inside the aeroplane. Okay, so like that. So here you can see, fasten yourself in night's stillness. So night means still. Okay, no movement will happen. So like that only, this also, fasten yourself means keep yourself tight in the stillness, mistrusting the star that speaks of truth's adventurous paths. So here he's talking about the pole star, that is a guiding light. Okay, you must have come across this pole star. It is always in the north and it guides you which way to go. Suppose you have lost way in any forest or something, just lift up your head and see, pole star will be visible. So you know which direction is north in, then you can plan your direction and you can move. So here, now this motherland it is actually caught in some night stillness. It is caught somewhere because of she is like a slave now. Okay, so the star, that is the there is somebody who is showing the way, but she is not able to trust. The motherland is not able to trust. She is mistrusting the star that speaks of truth's adventurous paths. So don't go in a wrong path that is led by the false facts. Okay, you always have to go by the fact that truth leads you is what he is trying to say. That means always be truthful, always speak truth is what he says. Freedom from the anarchy of destiny. Destiny, something that is going to happen in the future. Anarchy, that is the confusion. Whenever there is a king, that is called as monarch. When there is no king, there is a confusion in the administration. It is called as anarchy. Okay, so he wants freedom from anarchy also. Whole sails are weakly yielded to the blind uncertain winds. So you might have seen the yacht. Okay, so this yacht is there wherein they adjust the sail and they actually move in the direction of the wind. Okay, so here that winds are only uncertain. They actually blind you, isn't it? They are, if the winds are uncertain, you don't know which way to go. Okay, that means you don't have a clear picture of your way, your journey, so you're blinded. So do not move in that path. So if at all there is a confusion, the whole sails are weakly yielded, you agree to that way in which the wind blows. Okay, so you are in a confusion, you are not able to take the right way. Upon that, the sail is not strong, so it is leading you to, the winds are uncertain, you don't know which way to go, so you are adjusting. Since you are adjusting your journey, you are adjusting your sail in a confusion, you don't know which way to go, so obviously you will not be led to the truth's adventurous path, you will be led to some other place which you should not have been there. And the helm to a hand ever rigid and cold as death. So this hand is actually very rigid and cold as death. So he is comparing, this is a simile that he has used. So death is actually cold. If it is warm blooded, that organisms, when the blood is circulating, then obviously the body will be warm. So cold as death, that means there is no life in it at all. So that's what the poet is trying to say over here. Freedom from the insult of dwelling in a puppet's world. So here he uses the word puppet. You can see the irony here. First he uses the word freedom, and then he uses the word puppet. That means it is an irony that he has used. He has used both the contradictory ideas in one line only. Freedom, you don't have to wait for somebody else's instructions. But here puppet, it actually dances to according to the tunes of the master, or according to the strings, the way the master plays it. Okay, so here he wants the motherland to be freed from the insult of dwelling in a puppet's world. Now he is telling, you are not a puppet. He is telling the motherland, you are not a puppet, you are supposed to come out of it, you are supposed to be very free, is what he tells in these lines. Where movements are started through brainless wires. So brainless wires, so he is talking about people who do not have sense at all, who do not work sensibly. Okay, so where movements are started through brainless wires. So somebody who doesn't have any proper thought is directing somebody else who is capable enough to lead the country. So he wants a freedom from this to the motherland. That is what he is wishing for. Repeated through mindless habits. So they don't mind the habits. What are their habits? They are useless. So they are mindless. Okay, there is no sense at all in this habit. So here he is trying to bring the motherland out of those mindless habits where figures wait with patience and obedience. We must have patience as well as obedience for the masters to show. So now there should be a master to show what he should show, to be stirred into mimicry of life, how to lead a proper life. Now, if you are free from all these, we should be patient enough to expect a master. That means a person who leads the country towards development, okay, towards success. So this is what the poet is trying to say over here. Yes, Rabindranath Tagore's poems are a little difficult to understand, but they will have profound meaning. If you understand it properly, it will be usually a very wonderful poem. So now we'll understand the poetic devices. First thing is apostrophe, that is in the first line. Tagore evokes the spirit of his motherland by personifying it. When somebody doesn't have life, you're talking to that person has a life, usually to refer to the abstract ideas. You might be confused why I have not used personification here. Why have I used apostrophe? Personifying is somewhere, it is not an abstract idea, whereas here motherland is an abstract idea. Okay, there is no such thing called as motherland. You have a country. Okay, but motherland, that idea is actually abstract. It actually doesn't exist. It is an abstract idea, and he is treating an abstract idea as a person, as a human being. He has given life to it. That's why I have used apostrophe instead of personification. Okay, so here the first device used is apostrophe. He is talking to motherland like he is talking to a person. Motherland is an abstract idea. So the second one is enjambment. Enjambment is actually seen in almost all the poems of Rabindranath Tagore. The reason is he doesn't include any rhyme scheme in the end of the lines. He tries to blend the meaning. He tries to continue the sentences as he writes. He doesn't end the sentence in the first line only. For example, if at all you have a poem of maybe 6 lines, so suppose you have lines like this, and each and every sentence, each and every line, there is a rhyming word in the end. then they will have some rhyme scheme like A, B, like this. They will have some rhyme scheme. But what if the sentence doesn't end in the first line? Suppose the sentence doesn't end over here, the line doesn't end over here. Like for example, you can see in Rabindranath Tagore's this one poems. So he starts the poem here, he continues and stops it somewhere here. Then again continues it from somewhere here. Then again it goes to the next line. It doesn't end over there also. It ends somewhere in the next line and then continues like this. So this type of continuation of sentences in a poem without having any rhyme scheme, this is called as enjambment. Okay, not completing the sentence at the end of the line is called as enjambment. So that is what is seen over here. Okay, next we have alliteration. As you already know, this most commonly you are seeing this. Alliteration is the repetition of same sound in the beginning of the words. Okay, so here you can see freedom from fear. This is alliteration. My motherland, ma sound is repeated, that is alliteration. Shackles of slumber, so sir is repeated actually. Shackles of slumber, this is actually a non-example wherein this cannot be considered. Okay, so here you cannot just take the letter of repetition, you have to take the sound also. Okay, so here freedom from fear, this is a good example. My motherland is also a good example. So these were the three poetic devices. We have few more to look into. We have personification. So here in this poem, Tagore personifies the motherland as a woman. Okay, he talks to the motherland as a woman here, to servitude, like a slave. Okay, so he is imagining, he is personifying somebody to be under somebody else's rule. So here you can see the star, destiny, all these are actually personified here. He treats them like animate objects, that is the objects with life. So next comes the metaphor. So this is used to compare, this is that is what he says. This comparison is seen in metaphor. The burden of ages, so age actually becomes burden there. Then shackles of slumber. So slumbering means struggling or striving is actually kind of holding back. Okay, it is something like you are holding back something. So that is shackles. Truth's adventurous paths. So here also he is comparing truth is something which is adventurous. Okay, so that is what he is trying to say over here. So there are many examples as such here. Last one is irony. This occurs in the line, that is freedom from the insult of dwelling in a puppet's world. Yes, we discussed about this when I was explaining those lines. Here there is freedom, here there is puppet. That means there is control but there is freedom. It's an irony. The opposite ideas are actually put together over there. Okay, so this is irony. We'll now move on to the conclusion. So what is this poem it is concerned about? The poem is actually concerned about India's freedom struggle. This talks about Indian freedom struggle. Tagore calls out to the motherland to free from fear, that is from the shackles of slumberness, that is oppression, or from the fear of outsiders. He wants freedom from everything. He wants his motherland to be completely free, to function completely freshly there. Tagore's patriotism permeates this poem. As he decries the master beneath whom his motherland serves as a puppet. So there is a master, that is he is referring to British East India Company rule. Then his motherland is actually serving like a slave. Okay, so she is like a puppet. Okay, in a true sense it is nothing but a slave only. So this is what the poem is all about, that is he is talking about the slavery that has to be freed. Okay, the motherland has to be freed from this slavery, what he is talking about. So what I suggest you is, please watch the video, then go through the text, you will be able to understand better. Any doubts, you are always welcome in the physical classes to discuss and get the doubts clarified. So thank you for your time. Let us meet again with another more interesting topic. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.